Hey guys, welcome to another video, and it is that time of year where once again we find out everything that is going to be at Scarefest in October this year for Alton Towers Halloween event. Last year was my first time out there and I really enjoyed it. It's a really good event. So I was excited to find out what stuff's going to be returning from last year and if we're getting any new stuff, and I can tell you we are getting new stuff. So without further ado, let's run through it. I'm going to start off with all these stuff for families because there is quite a lot on offer for families this year. So a lot of people might think, oh, Scarefest, it's Halloween, it's an exclusively adult or older person event. No, it really isn't. In fact, I've got a whole page of notes purely for families, so we may as well just get running through that really quickly. First up, the House of Monsters returns. Is this its third year now? It's a really good maze by the looks of things. I've never done it myself, but from what everyone else seems to say, it's really good fun. It's now 20 minutes long, which I think is a bit longer than it was in the past, with 7 live actor shows, and it is £5 on top of the entrance. So in terms of being a maze, it's not that expensive. They recommend 8+ for doing it, so yeah, just the kind of family age. Then you've got the Freaky Four, which are the 4 main characters the towers have, which have become the Freaky Five. They can't add any more characters now because that would be 6 and it's not alliteration anymore. Anyway, the new character is Gretel the Witch. These are all appearing in shows and individual event kind of things, which I think are all out on the lawn at the bottom of Tower Street, but I might be wrong. That you've obviously got the main one, Patch's Halloween Party. Then you've got Skelvin sharing spooky stories. You've got Phil and Franklin's Ghoulish Games, where they're playing games with the audience. And then you've got Gretel in her show, where she's sharing and requiring help from the audience for her magic spells. Inside CBeebies Land itself, there's going to be Halloween-themed activities, as well as a main Halloween party. The Alton Ancestors are back on Tower Street. They're not going anywhere because they're awesome on Tower Street. They're a really good way to welcome guests in and get them in the Scarefest mood. And finally, there's going to be a live band performing at some point over the event called the Freaky Funk Squad. They're going to be performing live music over, and the kind of backstory behind them is kind of that some scientist fella managed to turn the Freaky Five into humans, and now they're singing. I think that's basically the general gist from it. That's all the stuff that you've got on offer for families. So let's move on to the stuff that I'm most looking forward to, the stuff for the older people. Starting off, obviously, with every Scarefest event, it's open late, so the rides are open late. So you've got the big 6 that are still open. Well, I think most of the rides are still open in the dark, so it's really good to get some night rides on some of the major rides. But the one I think pretty much everyone's looking forward to, I dread to think what the queues for this are going to be, Wicker Man. Bloody hell, it's good in the daytime. I really cannot wait to ride it in the nighttime. From the people who are at the press event, they say pretty unanimously that it is amazing in the dark. It's such a good ride, and providing they have actually got the flames turned on the shoulders, it should be a really good experience. Another night ride that actually I really liked was 13 last year. It does give a really good night ride out in those woods. So yeah, if you have the time whilst it's dark, definitely go and check 13 out. Anyway, on to the bit everyone's been waiting for, mazes. There's 4 mazes this year. There's, returning from last year, 3. Subspecies The End Games, which is a really good maze. It's quite scary in the fact that you normally go around on your own, or at least with one other person. I ended up on my own. It's a touch maze, so the actors can touch you. It's really good fun. They've got Altonville Mine Tours, Legend of the Skin Snatchers. That was one of my favourites from last year, actually. That was a really good experience. I ended up at the front, and it was the first scare maze I'd ever done. So yeah, you can imagine I wasn't best impressed with it. And then another one I was kind of shocked at the fact it's returning. It's the Welcoming Be Chosen, because I was under the impression that that was there mainly to raise hype for Wicker Man, and now Wicker Man's here. I was expecting, you know, something different. But no, Welcoming's back, and I welcome it back because it was a really good maze last year. It had a really good soundtrack. It remains as an additional maze, so the other three, so Subspecies, Mine Tours, and the third one I'll say in a minute, all come under a £20 additional price to your entrance. But the Welcoming Be Chosen is £8, so it's £28 if you want to do all the mazes, which you could say is a bit excessive. £7 per maze though. It's decent. And then the last one is the new maze for this year. It is Project 42. Not really much we can go off with this one. Its name, Project 42. You can't really gauge anything on that. The main rumours we've had surrounding that is actually its location, because obviously over the past week or so we've seen tents go up around Nemesis Subterra, and many people therefore think that this ride may be in Subterra's old spot. It's going to be cool to see what that's all about anyway, and that is included in the £20 price. A few takeaways from this: no Terror of the Towers. I think that's been going now since 2012. This year is the first year it does not return. So they have decided to get rid of that one now, which is a bit of a shame. It had been going for 5 years, so maybe they do just want to change it up, and that's what Project 42 is here to do. But it could also be something to do with Alton Towers Dungeons. If you didn't know, some point in the last month, I can't remember when exactly, the Towers filed the name Alton Towers Dungeons. Filed for the name Alton Towers Dungeons, so we're expecting to see that at some point, maybe for 2019. So there's been thoughts that maybe the reason Terror of the Towers is gone is maybe to start building the new dungeons in there. Another thing, there has been no scare zones advertised so far. I'm not sure if this is actually true or not. Whether they're going to be an addition to the lineup at some point, announced later on, but for the time being, assume that there's no scare zones, which I think they probably could do with. Freak Show was good last year. I think I was a bit underwhelmed by it, purely for my personal experience. It could have probably been better. I think it probably should have. They probably should have one somewhere with a bit of a darker tone, maybe keep it away from the family areas though, of course. I saw, was it the year before, the Nox Infernus one? That looked quite good, but they obviously got rid of that one for last year. And a lot of people liked Freak Show, so it is a bit of a shock to not see it return, but obviously we don't know if it is 100% not coming back yet. Tell me what you think of everything coming to Scarefest this year, guys. Thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.